Hey everyone, welcome to next presentation by Indic Studies Toronto. Today our topic is Indic perspective on equality between spouses. Our speaker today is Rati Hegde ji. She is a mother of 3 and has tried to install Bharatiya values in her children. She pens her personal, family and social experience in the form of short stories and blogs, and also is an author of 2 books, Tales of Bharat. And she's a vocal proponent of equal rights for Hindus in India. In the past, she has appeared on TV debates with Arnab Goswami. So, Namaskar Rati ji, please continue.
Namaste, everybody. The topic that we are picking up is something that is very interesting also, and one which is fraught with a lot of dangers also, because our thought process has become such that we have forgotten completely about our spiritual being, about being much more than just a physical entity, and we are getting pulled into an area where we are giving so much importance to the material and the physical. We can say that this is because of the Western culture or something like that, but that would not be correct in my opinion, because if as a human being we cannot think for ourselves as to how one should treat one's life partner, then there is no point in blaming someone else for the problems that we see in our own lives. I'm sure you'll agree with me on this. And so let's start with the topic. I would like to first say Jai Shri Ram, because in my mind, there is nobody, more than Rama and Sita who have understood life as one should lead it, without stepping into, the roles of the husband or the wife, without trying to put down the husband or the wife, and giving so much respect to each other, so much love to each other, that I think that the Ramayana is one epic that everybody should read for sure, and teach one's family also in the correct manner. If one were to just understand the Ramayana and understand the role play of Rama and Sita, one definitely would lead a beautiful life as a dharmanishta couple. This is what I feel. So Jai Shri Ram. And this thing is, I would like to ask all of us here, whoever is there, what is it that actually constitutes equality in your life? Equality with your spouse, that is. Is it just, that, Are Aaj, if I may speak a little bit in Hindi in between, is that okay?
Yes, okay. Yeah.
Okay. So, आज मैंने चाय बनाया, and Betty, आज मैंने अपने wife को दिया. I really love her, respect her. Or today I am going to look after the children. I'm going to take the children to school, and or the wife saying that this month all expenses will be borne by me, by my salary. Is this what equality actually is? The fundamental question is, are men and women actually equal? Now, to understand whether men and women are equal, invariably, when we talk, in Indian tradition, we say, yes, we all are equal. Why? because the Atman is equal. We are all part of Parabrahman and we are all equal. But that is on the spiritual plane. Whereas on the plane that we are living in, on the physical plane, definitely we are not equal. On the mental plane, are we equal? No. Women think, it is a fact that women think differently from men, or they react to certain situations differently from men. Likewise, men also think differently and react differently to certain situations. When this is true, when we understand this, then we need to understand that if there is a difference between a thought process, or if there is a difference between reactions or actions between a man and a woman, then that does not mean that there is no equality between them. Because equality is something that's very abstract and something that should come from within. It is not something that, just by doing a certain act, you can say that I'm treating my spouse as equal. No, it is much, much deeper than that. Now, before that, before going into, our stories, I'd like to say something else. And that is that I'm sure all of y'all know that the goal of life, or the goal of especially a householder's life, is that we, we complete or we achieve our purusharthas. That is Dharma, Artha, Kāma, and Mokṣa, along with our partner, with our spouse. Now, whenever I'm using the word spouse, partner, it means both husband and wife. So I'm not talking only on behalf of the wife, or I'm not going to talk only on behalf of what a husband should do. It's not like that at all. Because if we are going on that boat of life together, then it cannot be that only the husband rows and the wife sits there very beautifully, or the wife rows and the husband just sits there and sings a song on her beauty. No, that's not what it is. So how do we achieve the purusharthas? That is the Dharma, Artha, Kāma, and Mokṣa. Are there certain duties that spouses have to do, definitely have to do, to achieve this? Well, as per Yajnavalkya, Rishi Yajnavalkya, yes, there are certain duties that a couple has to do if they want to achieve this. Now, I'm talking about just the basics, okay? What is the most important thing that they have to do then? The most important thing to start on this journey of achieving the Purusharthas is performing yajnas. Now, you might say that, Are, yajna, husband and wife should sit and do yajna whole day. What is this? This is not possible. But my dear friends, it's very much possible. And Yajnavalkya has very beautifully written about it. He states how yajna is not just about lighting a homa and, offering various things to, gods, to our devtas. It is not just that. As a simple householder, there are other yajnas also which you can indulge in. So to start with, lighting the lamp in the house. Diya jalane ka jo kaam rehta hai, that is also a yajna. Lighting your cooking fire, that is also a yajna. So in this, you can understand right from the beginning how a day should start and which role usually is taken up by the husband and the wife. If both are yajnas, both deserve equal respect, then why should one work be treated as more important than the other? It should not be done, right? Unfortunately, in today's time, we feel that, if the wife is sitting and cooking over there, it's not a paying job, or, she's not contributing to the family. No, she is doing one of the most important yajnas in your house by cooking for you every day, by lighting the fire, by inviting Agni into your house every morning. So one of the steps on your path to Dharma is a yajna. Now there's another yajna which Yajnavalkya talks about, and that is the Bhuta Yajna. Now, what is the Bhuta Yajna? Which every householder has to get involved in. It is the yajna of feeding in this order, okay? You have to first feed your guests, then your elders, then the invalids in your house, that is the people who are not well, then animals, insects, birds. And finally, lastly, it is the householder, that is the husband and a wife, who can partake in the food. Now, isn't this very beautiful? That every householder, every husband and wife, every day have to partake in a yajna, which not just, is them showing their gratitude to the devatas, but also to all sentient beings, isn't it? Now, in this, you might say that, I'm talking about feeding, so then it must be the wife who's doing most of the work. Sure, the wife must be doing the cooking. I do not want to say no to that. It's important. But the backbone is also the husband, who is providing for the family in one way or the other. The husband is also that support which the wife gets when she is tending to the guests or tending to the elders in the family. So at that time, that is the perfect time actually, when the husband can show what he feels about equality when he contributes in this yajna with his wife in one way or the other. Now, to go further, I would like to talk about some of our devatas, our heroes from our scriptures, who have very beautifully brought out the thought process of what equality means in our traditions. To start with, I would like to talk about Shiva and Parvati, Mahadev and Mahadevi. Now, every breath of us that we let out to the world is Shiva. Every breath that we inhale is Parvati. So right there, every being is having a feminine element in him and a masculine element in him. Without that, there can be no life at all. One needs to understand this. Now, to explain this further, of course, we have the story of the Ardhanarishwara. And how did that story come about? There was this bhakta, great bhakta of Shiva, who refused to believe in the equality between Shiva and Parvati, that is between the male and the female element of nature, right? So when that happened, Shiva and Parvati tried to come together as Ardhanarishwara to show him that we are one. But Bringi, that is the bhakta, he tries to still go between them by converting himself into a small beetle or a bee. Now, when he does that, Parvati gets really annoyed and she says, "What is this? This is not right." So she curses him that he will lose all the female elements in his body. Now, which are the female elements in his body that he loses? If one were to read the Lalita Sahasranama, in the shlokas between 400 to 500, there is a certain section which very clearly tells what are the elements in the body which Lalita is part of. Lalita means Devi is part of. And those are Tvakstha, that is the skin, Rudhira, that is the blood, Mamsa, that is the flesh, Medha, that is the fatty layer in our body, Sthiti, that is the bones, Majja, that is the bone marrow, and Shukla, that is the semen. Now, if all these elements are the feminine elements in our body, then again, once more, it is proved that Prakriti itself has made sure that in every man there is a woman, and in every woman there is a man. How is that? Because these elements are feminine, the rest of your body are the masculine elements in you. Now, when Bringi gets the curse from Parvati, obviously he has no bones left on or whatever in his body. So he needs finally a stick to even balance himself, because he cannot. He's just, he's just eyes, face, hand, whatever. That's all. The thing is that Shiva understands the need for showing even his bhaktas that his wife, that is Devi, has to be respected just as much as he has to be respected. Every husband needs to understand this. And every wife also needs to understand this, that there is no respect if one cannot make sure that the others around her or in her environment respect the husband as much as she is respected. Unfortunately, in today's society, we tend to forget this extremely important fact. And we tend to think that, as a husband, I am higher, or as a wife, I am, more important in the house or among relatives. Unfortunately, this should not be done. And Shiva and Parvati's this particular story of Ardhanarishwara shows us the right path. To go further, obviously, once we talk about Shiva and Parvati, we need to talk about Vishnu and Mahalakshmi too. Now, the connect between Vishnu and Mahalakshmi is so beautiful that even when Mahalakshmi gets angry with Vishnu in various stories, whether it is about the story of Brigu or, any of them, she always ends up still protecting him if Vishnu is all alone and doing tapasya. In, Tirupati, she goes as a cow and makes sure that he is well fed. In Badri, she goes and becomes, in Badrinath that is, she becomes the Badri tree and provides shade and shelter to Mahavishnu, who is doing tapasya over there. So many stories are there like that. So, even if there is some, what we learn from this is, even if there is some kind of, let's say, a tussle or an argument between a husband and wife, neither of them should forget their role in the other person's life, in the spouse's life. And irrespective of whether they are annoyed, angry, or whatever, it should not come, that anger should not come in the way of fulfilling one's duties also, and in the way of showing your love in one form or the other. That is equality, isn't it? I also want to say that, now when we talk about Vishnu and Mahalakshmi, we come across a lot of vratas, which are either for Vishnu, that is your Ekadashi vrata, and, various other vratas, or for Mahalakshmi or Bhagavati, like idea during the Navratris or Hartalika, which just went by. Various vratas we keep. We women keep a lot of vratas. Why do we keep all these vratas? People think that, these days at least, I've seen so many write-ups, even in our most traditional portals, I've seen write-ups about how somebody got a Nobel Prize because of intermittent fasting and all that, and how fasting is required for improvement of health, and, all those kind of talks. But that is not the reason why we keep a vrat. It may be the byproduct of the vrat that you have, good health and everything. The reason why we keep a fast or a vrata, actually, one is bhakti. Of course, you want to show your bhakti towards your Aradhya Devata or Devi, and that is why you keep a fast in, what do you say, in memory or while praying to that Devi or Devata. But there is one more reason. See, a husband, when he is contributing to a family, okay, he is not thinking about himself. He is thinking first about the family. And as per our Shastras, whatever punya he gets also, in whatever job he does or whatever work he does or donation he does or whatever, half of that punya phala goes to his wife. No questions asked. तुमने कुछ अच्छा किया है तो उसका आधा फल तो तुम्हारी पत्नी को मिलता ही है. But if a husband does something wrong, then the papa remains with him only. That does not go to the wife. And similarly, when the wife does something good, the punya remains only with her. That is not shared with the husband. Okay? And when she does a papa, the papa, a part of that goes to the husband, because it is believed that if the husband were on the right path, if the husband were dharmika, there is no way the wife would become an adharmika. So to keep discipline among the husbands, I would like to think that way. This kind of shastra is believed in and followed. So if what the husband is doing, whatever he's earning, he's providing for the family. If he is doing anything good, the phala comes to the wife. All these things are there. How will the wife show her gratitude to the husband? Physically she can show by cooking something that he loves and all that. But spiritually, how does she show her gratitude? That is where your vratas and prayers come in. When we pray, we always pray that our mangalya should be, protected. Mangalya means my role as a wife should be protected. That means that my husband should have a long life. We pray that he should have good health. Okay. All these kind of prayers that we women do, it is a way of spiritually thanking your spouse. This needs to be understood, I think, by everybody. And when people say that, in Indian tradition, only the wives are supposed to sit and do that vrata, this vrata and everything, it's not correct. One needs to understand why it is the wife who does more vratas than the husband. It is her way of showing that she wants to stand at an equal level with her husband when it comes to distribution of punya. Why should she not have that lofty thought? This needs to be understood, I feel. Now again, to talk about Sita Ramchandra, well, of course, as I just said some time back, if one wants to learn about true equality without stepping on each other's feet, one needs to just see the life of Sita and Rama. Now, when Sita was abducted by Ravana, she could have, with her tej, she could have burnt him and she could have destroyed him. But she knew the divine purpose that was in the background. She knew that she was just an agent for the destruction of Ravana. And who was supposed to destroy Ravana? It was none other than Prabhu Sri Ram. So she knew she had to wait. She had to make sure that she remains safe and sound, and till that time that she is rescued from Ravana by her husband. In the Ramayana, you see two characters. One is Sita and one is Hanumanta, who never go beyond that boundary which is set for them. Hanumanji also could have destroyed, if he could, set fire to Lanka, he could have destroyed Ravana in just a minute. But that was not his duty. That was not his role. Same way, Sita also could have done, but that was not her role. And that is why it is very important that we learn from this, that while we can talk about equality among spouses and everything, we need to support our spouses in fulfilling their roles too. We cannot say, I would like to give the example of a woman here who earns maybe more than her husband, but she cannot say that because I am earning more, I am the, provider for this family. Not because, that will put her down or something or set her on a pedestal or something. That's not the thing. But because it is very important. Sure, Sangeeta ji, I will respond to you after I've finished my talk. So it's very important that the husband remains the backbone. Why is that important? That is very important because in our tradition, in Hindu tradition, as Sanatanis, we need that it is the husband who does certain duties as his first duty, of being in existence. And one of the duties that he needs to do is to be the yajman of his family. By yajman, it means he is the head of the family. He is the protector of the family. He is the one who is going to show the family the path of dharma. As the yajmana, he cannot, embrace only Kāma. He cannot embrace Mokṣa when he is the householder. He has to walk that path, that difficult path of dharma. And it is very important that a wife understands and supports her husband in this. This is not to say that, a woman should not earn more than her husband. No, I'm not telling anything like that. If she is capable enough, she should. Absolutely no problem. If she wants to be the person whose money is used for the family purposes, that's also fantastic. There is nothing wrong in that. But where it is required to give importance to the husband should get it. Same way, if there is, let's say, a puja in the house, or if there are relatives coming home or guests coming home and everything, the husband should not try to be, that showstopper at that time. That is not his role. He has to make sure that the wife is given the role of being the yajmanati at that time. That is, that she should be in charge of all those things at that time. She is the one who should take charge of satisfying the guests. If there is a puja, then making sure that the devata is satisfied, making sure that the children understand what is to be done during a puja, or teaching them about the tradition and all that. She is the heroine of that day, and the husband should not step on her toes and say, "Arey, main ghar ka malik hu, main jo bolta hu wahi hona chahiye." No, that is not how the role play works. If husbands and wives were to understand the simple thing about what is important at what time and support their spouse at that time in doing that work, I think, one need not talk more about equality, on that. Now, to give you some small example from the Ramayana, it is said that Kaushalya, that is Rama's mother, Prabhu Sri Ram's mother, she looked after the palace finances and the upkeep of the palace, of the staff in the palace and everything. Her husband was the Maharaja, but he had no role to play in how the palace was maintained. A simple example. Now, coming to some rishis that we can learn from. Again, one of the main rishis that we can learn from is Yajnavalkya. When he decided it was time for him to attain Mokṣa, he decided to divide all his properties among his two wives. And one of his wives was Maitreyi. She comes to him and asks him, "What are you leaving for me?" So he says, "Oh, I'm going to leave so many thousand cows, this, that, and everything." And she says, "Okay, you are going to attain Brahman, right? Will all this that you're leaving back for me help me attain Brahman?" Yajnavalkya has to accept that none of those physical possessions will help Maitreyi attain Brahman, okay, attain Moksha. So she says that is not right. I too have the desire to attain Brahman. So Yajnavalkya makes sure that he teaches her about the secret of attaining Brahman. Maitreyi becomes a Rishika in her own right, and it is only after that that Yajnavalkya goes to attain Moksha. Such a beautiful example. If a wife wants to attain more knowledge, if a wife has some desires, some great spiritual desires in herself, it is the duty of the husband to stand shoulder to shoulder with her, make sure that both of them attain that goal. This is what we can learn from them. Then another great rishi that we can learn from is Vasishtha and his wife Arundhati. Vasishtha also is one of the Saptarishis. And once when he was called by the Devatas for some work, he calls upon Shiva and tells Shiva, "Please protect my wife when in my absence." Now, Arundhati does not know that Vasishtha has asked Shiva to look after her. Now just see the husband, such a great man. He's going for a great job. His wife is also equally, great. She is in the ashram, well protected, but he makes sure that there is extra protection for her and that she is not affected in any way because of his absence. Then, during their married life, before this particular thing happens, Arundhati has been listening to the various chants and listening to more about the Vedas and everything, and absorbed it on her own also. So when Shiva comes there to the ashrama, he comes as a student. He pretends to be a student and he comes and asks her questions. The great Arundhati, she teaches Shiva. Vasishta did not get the opportunity to teach Shiva, but Arundhati got the opportunity to teach Shiva. What do we learn from this? I mean, it's something that irrespective of what profession your spouse might be in, whenever it is possible, the spouse should take an interest in understanding what is it that his or her spouse is doing. Try to learn a little about it. You never know when it will be of help to you. So, I mean, in today's world, if I were to talk about it, so many times we see that the husband passes away suddenly and the wife does not even know where all the wealth is kept, in various bank accounts or this or that, investments, this, that. It's okay to take a little interest in what your husband is doing. Same way, if the wife is also working or doing something, or even if she is not working, if she is at home, it's very important the husband takes out some time and understands what is it that she is doing in the house. Even if it is knowing about whether she has changed the curtains of the house, whether she has taught the children a new language, whatever it is, learn a little about it, know about it, and also try to put in your contribution as and when possible, so that when your wife goes out of the house for a few days, you're not lost. So that's one thing that we can learn. And of course, I'm sure a lot of y'all know that in our marriages, in the South especially, the husband is supposed to take the wife out and show the Arundhati star. Why? Because the Arundhati star goes around Vasishta, that is in the Saptarishi Mandal. Arundhati goes around Vasishta, but it is also Vasishta who takes around the Arundhati star, the smaller Arundhati star. When we take our Saptapadi in our marriage, or Sat Feras, first 4 Feras, the husband is in front, but in the remaining 3 Feras, it is the wife who is in front. This is a very beautiful lesson that our rituals only are teaching us, that don't think that one is greater than the other. Sometimes the husband may be ahead, sometimes the wife may be ahead. It's all right. And it is something that we should accept and welcome in our lives. Then I'd like to talk about 2 more characters, very interesting characters. One is Nala Damayanti. It is a story which comes, it is in the Mahabharata. And Nala was a very great king. And I suggest that all of you all read about his story, because it's a very beautiful story. And it is a story which, even children would love to hear from you. So do make it a point to read about Nala. And this story is told to Yudhishthir when Yudhishthir is feeling bad about losing his entire kingdom because of the play of dice. Nala also had this experience before. But I want to talk about Nala because in the South, when anybody cooks really well, people, praise that cooking, saying that it is Nala Paka. Paka means cooking, and Nala is this Nala. Nala Damayanti wala Nala. Why? Because Nala, the great Raja that he was he is also credited with making a lot of dishes. There he has written a whole grantha on this, on various dishes that he used to cook himself. He has also spoken about the use of spices for good health, the use of cooking for good health and everything. It's a wonder. And in this, I just wanted to tell that, however great a person you may be, in your life, you might have achieved a great status or whatever, but do not belittle any housework. Make it a point to involve yourself in some housework or the other and try and become an expert in it also. Because again, of course, you never know when it could help you, but more than that, it will develop your personality in a way that you never thought of. You'd never end up getting any stress. Maybe you'd never find yourself mentally imbalanced, because it could be that particular hobby of yours, which is, something in the house, is what will help you relax. So learn it, do it. Then in the end, I want to talk about, again, the Mahabharata itself and about the Pandavas. As you all know, the Pandavas were married to Draupadi. You all also must be knowing that Draupadi was sexually assaulted at least 3 times that I know of, at least in the Mahabharata. One is during Kichaka, their stay in Viratadesha. She was assaulted by Kichaka. Then by Jayadratha, her own brother-in-law, when they were in the forest. Then during the Dyuta Krida, by Dushasana, who tried to disrobe her. Right? Now, I want to draw your attention to this, that despite being sexually assaulted at least on 3 occasions, not even once do any of the Pandavas assign blame to her for being sexually assaulted. They respect her and treat her as pure as ever, as pious as ever, without once saying that she should be blamed for the sexual assaults that she faced. Not just that, they went out of their way to make sure, especially Bhima and Arjuna, made sure that those who tried to assault her were destroyed. This is one of the best examples that I can think of treating your wife as an equal. Why do I say that? Because I see that in today's world, a lot of times when, a girl goes on the wrong path or a wife goes on the wrong path, she's blamed for a lot of things. Or even when the husband does something wrong, immediate blame is assigned to him. But that is not how it should be. It's great that, in that fit of anger, you have told something, fine. But it should not remain in your sight. It should not be a point which you raise again and again to put your spouse down. Both of y'all have to work together to overcome whatever horrible situation you are in. Okay, so this is what, to end, I'd like to say that equality is when you see your spouse as a person just like you, who has needs just like you, has desires and ambitions just like you, who needs respect just like you, who works for the family and the children just like you, and with whom you should be walking to attain the goal of the Purusharthas. That is what equality is all about. Not just, whether my husband gave me tea today or whether, my wife contributed in the buying of a car. Those are just incidental. True equality is when from your heart you treat your spouse as an extension of yourself, and therefore you work together with your spouse to achieve every single desire that you have in your mind, whether it is traveling, whether it is learning something new, whether it is attaining your ambition in your office, your place of work, whether it is how you bring up your children, whether it is how many pujas you do a year, everything, whether you treat your wife with the same respect that you hope to receive from society at large and from your family. That is what equality is all about. With this, I end my talk. So now, if you'll have any questions, I think ma'am wanted to ask something, please. I hope you all liked the talk. Thank you. Jai Shri Ram.
Rati ji, thank you very much for such a nice presentation. We will now take calls from everyone. Please raise your hand so that we can unmute you. So Aritra ji, please go ahead.
Ma'am, namaste. I'm Aditya Ghosh Sosida. Ma'am, this was really a very enriching talk, ma'am. And this helped me a lot to get a clear picture of the traditions which we have regarding equality. But ma'am, in today's world, it is seen to be very derogatory when someone does the household works. So how can we take some measures or change the narrative actually to make this thing much more pleasurable to the one who is doing the work on the household? Mostly it is done in case of women, and for girls of in this age, they feel a little bit derogatory to perform those works, and people also tend to make them a very uh,
Yes, I
lower
get.
scale.
I get
So
what
please,
you're
ma'am, I
saying.
want to.
Yeah, I get completely what you're saying. Actually, this was something that I have also faced. I must tell y'all that I'm pretty well educated. And when my first daughter came, I realized that I have 3 children, by the way. I realized that I could not go to work also and look after my child also at the same time, because I had no other help in the house. Like my mother was already helping my sister look after her child. So there was no way I could, and I was not at all keen on bringing a servant home to look after my child and all that. And a lot of people told me how, I mean, जो भी पढ़ाई किया वो सब गया तेल बेचने, and all those kind of talks came up. I will be very honest with you all. But at that time, I realized what is more important. Is it my family or is it my ego? It's not prestige, it's ego. And the moment I realized that, I understood what I needed to do as a wife. The reason why I spoke to you all about Bhuta Yajna of Yajnavalkya was this itself. Every work that is done in the house, if you go to see in a way, it is a yajna. So you'll all know the meritorious deed that a yajna is. So if we teach our children right from a small age, and we teach our husbands and wives and everybody, our in-laws also, about how important it is to do the yajna in the house first, I think this problem can be solved very easily. Unfortunately, we give more importance to that money and we forget about our spiritual wealth. So that is the only solution that you can have, that you understand that a spiritual wealth is for a longer period, whereas material wealth is for a shorter period. And while you can definitely go after material wealth, you should also give equal importance to spiritual wealth, if not more. I feel that that is what is very important, actually.
Sangeeta ji, please go ahead.
Anji, thank you. Rati ji,
Namaste.
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 I'm really very thankful to you. It was a lovely talk and very informative and eye-opening, because all the Shastra and tales that you narrated, many of them I did not know myself. But I still have a few questions to ask, but pertaining to the modern day situations. And right at the beginning, I would like to know your views regarding marital rape. Because the reason why I'm asking you this, because a few months ago, there was a sanction by the Supreme Court, I think in favor of recognition of it, but there was a lot of hue and cry in our Hindu society as to recognition of this. Now, when you very rightfully said that a woman needs to be looked after and her emotions and everything needs to be equally given the same importance as that of a man, then why is it so difficult for us to accept a situation like marital rape?
I would like to talk about two things here. One is when we talk about a householder's life. Okay. So in a householder's life, we have Dharma, Artha, Kāma, Mokṣa. Now, Kāma in this refers to not just sexual aspect of it, but all kind of desires. So Kāma is a very important part of being a householder. So it obviously goes without saying that in a married life, a sexual relationship is very much important. So that, the whole idea behind leading a householder's life is that you rise above your desires, isn't it? Now, if you have to rise above your desires, you have to indulge in desires a little bit at least to know it and then to think of rising above it, isn't it? Now, if it happens that the husband is only thinking about himself and not about the wife when it comes to Kāma, same way, not Kāma, actually it is Maithuna. So same way, if the wife is only thinking about herself and not thinking about satisfying the husband, in both these cases, I think it is a terrible imbalance, isn't it? Why should we talk only about marital rape, which assigns blame to only the husband, without talking about the other side of it, where the wife is not willing to satisfy the husband? Is there anything that we talk about that? We do not. Why is it that we talk about all laws only when it comes to criminalizing the behavior of a husband and not talking about the wife or the contribution of the wife to that imbalance? That is why Hindu society did not like the idea behind criminalizing marital rape. Very honestly, and I'm talking in a very balanced way. I'm not trying to say that men don't do it. I'm not trying to say that women are, women, when they are victims of it, they should not receive help or something. No, it is not like that. Of course, women should receive help and all that. But it is something that first needs to be sorted in the circle of a family or a society without criminalizing it. I think that is very important. Yes, if it involves beating up of the wife and, aggravated rape with physical assault and all that, yes, what you're saying definitely needs to be done. And I think in such cases, society does not even bother to support the husband, very frankly. But in a case where it is used as a weapon to extract benefits from it, I would not support, criminalizing marital rape. I do not think it is rape in these cases, but I would not support criminalizing it. This is my view. Everybody is entitled to a different view too.
Udit Shahji, please go ahead. You can ask one question.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Rati ji, beautiful presentation, beautiful, inside view from our, text. I have a question. You mentioned Kaushalya used to manage all the finances.
That
I have read, but I have not found this. Can you tell me where it is?
No, that is understandable when you see the dialogue between Manthara and Kaikeyi, where Manthara tells Kaikeyi that, if Rama becomes the king, then you will have to beg Kaushalya for even satisfying your whatever, your monetary requirements and all that. It is an inference from that.
Rekha ji, please go ahead.
Namaste. It was a very nice talk. I have only one question. Is there that book available? What was all the spices and food made by Nal? Is there any?
Yes. I don't remember the name of the book, but I think if you check on Google, you will definitely. I think there is a translated version of it now available. I had seen some tweets on it by Savitri Mumukshu, a handle called Savitri Mumukshu. She had even tweeted on that particular book. And on the net, I know that there are certain sections of that book available. You will definitely find it. You write Nalapaka and you see, you will definitely find it.
Sonal ji, please go ahead.
Pakadarpan, correct, Pakadarpan.
Hello, hello everybody. Very beautiful presentation. And
Thank you.
yeah, so this is more like a comment. When we are talking about spousal equality, where in families, if the roles are defined, the husband's only as a provider and the wife looks into the household tasks. In that case, sometimes what happens is, not sometimes, the daughters of those families where these roles are distinct and the husband is not contributing to, say, cooking or any household chores, the girls of those households, they tend to think that the white community is more, the white boys are more, they are open to doing all these chores. So like they see their mothers not getting support from their husbands, then these girls, they try to find marriages outside of our own Hindu communities. So this is what is happening. This is a general observation we have seen. So what are your thoughts on this?
Ma'am, in fact, I always tell people that, when you talk about we have to protect our traditions, we have to do this, we have to do that, we say, why are we not protecting these traditions where every husband, you see any of our texts, every husband has shown respect to his wife in our texts. If you see, it is only the Asuras, like when you talk about Ravana, he has not bothered to, but even he did listen to Mandodari's Paramarsh for many things. Okay, he used to take her advice. If you see, all of us, our rishis or our kings or, our role models, if you were to see in our scriptures, they have always treated their wife with a lot of respect. Why is it that we are not willing to look at that tradition? And I find it very difficult to understand that even 2 generations before ours, Before mine, one generation at least, my father, I have seen him do a lot of work in the house. He did not mind going and getting vegetables. But this generation does not want to do any household work, whether it's girls or boys. And what you have said is very, very true, that because of that, the girls do not want to marry within the community because they feel that they are going to be treated equally bad. And it's really pathetic. It's really sad. We need to teach our girls also and our boys also about all these traditions, about what true love is, what true respect is. Why were we saying that we want the same spouse for 7 lifetimes? It cannot be just like that, that we were saying, no, that we wanted the same spouse for 7 lifetimes. Obviously, that spouse must have been good. That spouse must have been helpful. That spouse must have been very kind, loving. And that is why you wanted him for 7 lifetimes. It's very important that we, understand once more what this is all about, what our traditions truly are. We need to do that. Otherwise, yeah, we are going to lose our girls, and we are going to lose our boys also the same way, because they are also going to sit there without getting married, even if they are, 40 years of age.
Khadgaha ji, please go ahead.
धन्यवाद सहायक जी। रति जी, हमारा नमस्कार आपके समक्ष। रति जी, हमारा प्रश्न बहुत संक्षिप्त है। आप सरकार का जो रोल है भारतीय मैरिटल संबंधों में, उसको सहायक मानते हैं या बाधक मानते हैं, या आप कुछ नहीं समझते कि ये इतना रेलेवेंट नहीं है?
रेलेवेंट नहीं है ये मैं नहीं बोलूंगी। सरकार का रवैया आजकल कुछ समझ में तो आता नहीं है, बिकॉज मुझे तो काफी टाइम्स आजकल तो यही लगने लगा है दैट वी आर ट्राइंग टू बी मोर वोक देन इवन द वोक्स ऑफ द वेस्ट। जैसे कि आप जानते ही होंगे, अलग अलग विषय में, अभी जैसे मैरिटल रेप का हुआ, या फिर अगर हम बात करते हैं सैलरी फॉर हाउसवाइफ्स, I don't understand it. You are, I mean, what is it? You are going to say that a housewife should have a salary of 5,000 rupees, 10,000 rupees, 50,000 rupees? Then what is the difference between a housewife and a maid? मुझे ये समझ में नहीं है आता है. The point is, if the husband is not contributing to the finances of the house, तो जरूरी ये है कि जो घर वाले हैं या जो सोसाइटी समाज के लोग हैं वो उसमें हस्तक्षेप करे और वो समझाए वो पति को, ना कि ये कि गवर्नमेंट उसमें हस्तक्षेप करे और बोले कि पत्नी को आज से 5,000 रुपया मुआवजा मिलना चाहिए. ये कितनी गलत बात है. तो क्या आप वैल्यू डालोगे उस पत्नी का जो रोल है एक पूरे समाज में, आप उस पर आप कैसे मोहर लगाएंगे ऐसे? आई डू नॉट अंडरस्टैंड दिस. और फिर अगर पत्नी ने सोचा कि चलो मेरा ये मैं खाना पकाती हूँ, कपड़े धोती हूँ, यही मेरा काम है और इसके लिए मुझे 10,000 एक महीने में मिला, तो बच्चे कहाँ जाएंगे? उनको क्या करना चाहिए? एंड फिर आप उनको स्कूल भेजते हो जहां पर वापस गवर्नमेंट अलग ही बात करती है कि बच्चों को ये फ्रीडम मिलना चाहिए, वो होना चाहिए, ये होना चाहिए. I don't understand this. I'm very sorry, but that is not the way society should progress, is what I feel.
Aritra ji, please go ahead.
Thank you, sir. So, ma'am, there is another question. So, ma'am, why is feminism, or rather I would say pseudo-feminism, is going against the feminine nature of the females?
Because we are only thinking about the physical aspect of life. We are neither looking at the spiritual aspect. As I said, we are only thinking about now. We are not thinking about 20 years hence. We are not thinking about what happens after our death. We are not bothered anymore about that. See, I'll tell you what. I mean, I don't want to talk bad about any other religion as such, but Abrahamic religion का जो thought process has entered our head so much that we are thinking only about this lifetime now. We have forgotten that the basis of our culture was many lifetimes. It was not about one lifetime. And because we are thinking only about now, you have the Charvaka system, which is, like everybody just wants to talk about, I want pleasure now, I want respect just now, I want money now. What do you expect? वही तो होगा ना फिर. That's why it's different. Yeah.
Anand Kumar ji, please go ahead.
Okay. Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes, I can. Namaste.
Thank you. Thank you for a very informative talk. It's generally said that a large number, possibly a majority of women, when asked about wealth and money, they say that my wealth oblique my money is mine. My husband's wealth and my husband's money is ours. Your valued comments.
In fact, just today I saw a tweet by Deepika Bharadwaj ji, where she gave the example of this husband who's earning 1.5 lakhs per month and wife earning 1 lakh a month. And the wife does not contribute even 1 rupee to the family kitty. But when it comes to her expenses, that is like, buying clothes for herself or buying a car or something, she wants to withdraw from the family kitty, which is obviously the husband's income. And she wants that the husband should have no say when she gives a certain portion of her income to her family, that is her parents. Now, this is something that we see every day, actually, in our lives. If we look around, we might see that in our own family circle or friend circle also. See, again, the whole thing is that I can understand blurring of roles. I can understand that, the husband also wants to go to work and earn, wife also wants to go to work and earn. And if the wife is not earning, then the husband also feels ke kash ke kama leti. So, if she were also working, it would be a little lesser burden on me and all that. Both sides have their own views on this, which are very vitiated views, in my opinion. But I think in this whole thing, both sides are forgetting that they are together as a unit for a family. Okay, as a householder. They are not two separate individuals once you decide to get married. If you are going to think only about yourself, your happiness, your respect, then there is going to be no equality whether from the husband or the wife. It does not make any sense only, no, then. So same way, that is what is happening with finances also, that, if the husband earns, then because his traditional role is that of the provider for the family, he should contribute. But if the wife is earning, then because the traditional role of the wife is of, doing the housework or something, then she will only look after the housework, but not contribute in the finance part. I think it's a very selfish way of looking at life. That's not how you lead a successful life as a householder. And that is definitely not the way you will attain even a single Purushartha. Neither you will be satisfied with the money that you get, nor are your desires going to be satisfied, because you're always going to have some kind of, argument with your spouse. Nor are you going to walk on the path of Dharma. That does not come only to Mokṣa to kahan se aayega. These are my views. I'm pretty much a traditionalist in this. I think it's very important that both understand that money has only one purpose, and that is satisfaction of certain desires or satisfaction of, like when you have any health problems or something like that, then you use the money for very practical purposes. It cannot be a toy that you use or a weapon that, you cannot convert money into a weapon. If you do that, then violence is going to be there.
Rati, we have run out of time now, but thank you very much for such a wonderful presentation. It was
Thank you.
very enlightening. And thank you, audience, for attending this presentation. And we look forward to seeing you for our next presentation. So again, Dhanyavad, Rati ji.
Thank you so much for calling me. I'm glad all of you liked the talk.